Good morning, everyone. Today's show is a big one. Why? Because the Game Award nominations have officially been announced, and of course, we've got a lot to talk about with all the games that are contenders for Game of the Year and more. Plus, of course, we're going to recap where I am with all the current playthroughs, and today is a huge streaming day because 2 Game of the Year nominees may complete on DSPGaming. All this and more on the show. I'll see you in a sec. Alrighty, everybody. Good morning. Today is Monday, November 13th, 2023. I'm DSP, and I welcome you here to the Level 1 Podcast. What a day! Because today is the day once a year when all the big nominations are out for the Game Awards, and we discuss them. However, I feel like I should preface any discussions that we have today with a very solid fact. There is no official Game of the Year. It's weird because I have to remind everyone this every year. There's no such thing as an official Game of the Year. Just like there's no such thing as an official Best Movie of the Year or Best Song of the Year. It doesn't exist. It's all subjective. You have the right to like one game over another, and it's perfectly valid. Not everyone has a chance to play every single video game, and certainly not everyone has the same tastes. So it's kind of silly that we definitively announce, oh, it's the Game Awards, and here's the nominees, and here's the only games that were good this year, when in reality, it couldn't be further from the truth. But, much like the Oscars, right? The Game Awards have become synonymous with gaming greatness every year. Although, there are certainly many, many years that are very polarizing, when the games that are nominated for this show end up being head-scratchingly weird. Why did this game get nominated? Why did this game get left out? There's always issues when it comes to the Game Awards, and we'll talk a little bit about that on today's show. So, we will likely pick some of the biggest categories to discuss. I would love to have some interactive discussions with you who are here live on stream today about it. I'm sure you guys will have a lot to say about your thoughts about the Game of the Year and picks and nominees and things like that, and we'll go from there. In addition, I'm in the midst of multiple Game of the Year nominee playthroughs right now, which we're going to be wrapping up. One, we're definitely wrapping up today. The other, we're going to likely get pretty far into the end game, although I don't necessarily know if we'll actually beat it today. But if we don't, we have another stream lined up this week to wrap it up. So there's a lot going on right now in the realm of gaming and in the realm of everything going on, and it's going to be a fun show, okay? So let's begin, shall we? First of all, yes, I still have these cold symptoms. I still got postnasal drip. I still got a runny nose. I still got gunk in my throat. And I apologize. You're still going to hear it today. It's going to be ongoing. However, I can tell you, it's getting a little bit better, just a little bit better every day. Now it's been over 2 damn weeks since I had this cold, and it still persists. But I am hoping that most of these symptoms start to ease up and feel better. And I noticed yesterday, over the course of the day, that it definitely wasn't as bad anymore. After I had getting started with the podcast, like by the end of the podcast and by the time I had started with the React show, the drip had actually started to calm down and alleviate. And over the course of the day, I definitely didn't have to blow my nose as much. So that was good. A little better every day is obviously better than no progress. So my apologies, but just heads up. Yes, this cold persists. I'm still fighting through it, okay? All right, so before we get to the Game Awards discussion, let's talk about what I did yesterday on streams. Let's talk about the schedule for the rest of the week, and then we'll jump in, okay? So, yesterday was a fun day. Why? Well, reacting resumed in a normal capacity. And what I mean by that is 2 weeks ago I was so sick, I couldn't stream for almost a week. It set me back massively, in the React show that I do every week, which is called DSP versus the Internet over on my sister channel, DSP React, was completely canceled. I didn't even have time to make it up because I lost so many days of streaming. So by the time I came back last week, sadly, I had missed out on so many streams, there was no time for a makeup session, so we basically did a Halloween stream after Halloween had ended. Obviously, it wasn't very pertinent, right? It just wasn't. It was just like so mistimed, and a lot of people were scratching their heads, why is all this horror content in the early November? This week, we got back on track. Good variety of stuff on the show yesterday, a good variety of topics, video game stuff, some, I like to say, some political and religious stuff, which was kind of interesting for variety, some food, some travel stuff, you know, things about Thanksgiving, comparing Canadian Thanksgiving to American Thanksgiving as a holiday, and all that stuff. So it was actually, in my opinion, a really great show. I wasn't bored at all, and we had a good time. However, we lost a lot of support over on DSP Reacts, all right? Why? Because I was sick. And when I was sick and I didn't do that stream that week, I guess some people felt, I don't know, cheated out of the fact that they were members and they didn't get that show that week. And I wish that there was something that I could have done. I wish I could have cloned myself, or I don't know. But, you know, obviously I didn't mean to miss work. But it's just what happened. And so we lost some like 30, 40 members on the channel. And because of that, the number of submissions went down and all of that. However, yesterday there was somewhat of a rallying. And I would say we gained back about 10 or 15 members to the channel, which was great. And hopefully we can now get back on track. And we can start to get back to the regular groove of things, doing the React content every week, all right? So I thought it was a great show. 3 videos are now live over on DSP Reacts. The channel is youtube.com/@DSP Reacts. Give it a look, see if you like the stuff. If you do, or if you want to be part of the show, please become a member of that channel, all right? That is how that channel is profitable. Those videos, no exaggeration, all got claimed. Well, I think it was like 3 or 4 out of the 6 got claimed. I can't monetize them. And this happens all the time on the channel, where the videos get profit sharing or outright no right to monetize because I'm doing third-party stuff. So really, the only reason that channel is profitable is because people become a member. Now, if you're a member, you are the person who nominates the videos every week for that show every Sunday. So you have power if you become a member. It's one of the best benefits you can get being a member of my channel. So please consider it. Give it a look. Enjoy. There's 3 more days of videos coming later on this week. If you become a member, you can actually watch the archive stream right away and see all of that right now. No reason to wait, okay? Okay. So that was our React portion of yesterday's stream. Then we jumped back over here to DSP Gaming for a late night session, the first one ever, of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer. Now, how did it go? Well, first of all, every time I play this game, I do the daily challenges. And last night, the daily challenges went so smoothly. It was like, get like 5 headshot kills with an assault rifle. That's so simple. Get like 30 kills. I can't remember what it was. It was like, get 30 kills. Oh, looking down the sights. How easy is that? Because I do that all the time, right? And then it was get 2 kills with the breacher drone. Now, I didn't have the breacher drone, but I picked one of the default classes that had it, and I got it like immediately. I got like a double kill with one too. So, did all those right away. And then I switched to the SMG Striker, which actually had been suggested to me by a viewer. Because from what I'm to understand, if you use this gun, you can unlock a skill tree that you unlock a better gun that everyone seems to like in the meta of the game. Well, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't really like the SMG Striker. I think it's weak. It does not do much damage at all from long range. So it's really a mid to close range gun. But even then, the time to kill is so ridiculous. You got to fill people with so many bullets to get a kill with that thing. So after using it for like over an hour, I didn't really like it. I was pretty disappointed with the gun's performance. And by the end of the stream, I'd switched to a marksman rifle, which I was just starting to get into, and then I ran out of time. I couldn't stay late last night. Why? Because I had to do private patron react videos, which I did for over an hour, and it was fun to do, but it's time consuming. So I couldn't stick around and do extra gameplay last night. So it was 2 hours of Modern Warfare 3. Had a good time overall yesterday. Good variety of stuff. I hope that you guys enjoyed. And we'll talk about the upcoming schedule right now so you know what to expect for the rest of the week, okay? So, today, it is the continuation of Marvel's Spider-Man 2, a Game of the Year nominee, by the way. And we're in the end game. We're around 25 hours into the game, and there's 5 story missions left. So if I just focused on the story missions today and nothing else, we absolutely would beat the game. But I've done so much content in this game, and I certainly don't want to miss out on content that's part of, you know, the storylines that I've been doing. There's a The Flame side questing line where apparently the final mission's about to open up, and once that opens, I want to do it. Don't know how long that will take, but that's the end of a quest line there. In addition, there's still some random side content around the city. There's the spider drones. We haven't found all of them yet. There's the bird missions where you have to do like the slipstream going after one of the robot birds and take it out. There's a few of those left, like 3 or 4 of those left. And then apparently there's one final kind of side content in the game that hasn't opened up yet. I have no idea what it is because it's not on the map. So I can't imagine what it's going to be. So once I do that stuff, I believe I would have platinumed the game. So we'll see how it goes today. You know, I'll play it by ear, and obviously if there's nothing to do on the map, then we're just going to continue on with the story. But if there is extra side content that opens up, then I'm going to do that. Because again, I'm not in a rush to beat Spider-Man 2. We don't have to beat it today. If we do, great. But we definitely don't have to complete it today. Considering the amount of time I put into it, I probably want to see if I can platinum it. It seems like an easy platinum, right? Just like Spider-Man 1 was. It's just a little time-consuming, but pretty easy to do. So, that's today's daytime stream, all right? Now, tonight, 6:45 p.m. Pacific time, it will be the conclusion of Super Mario Bros. Wonder. To be honest, I don't think we're going to need the entire 2 hours for this conclusion. Why? We're already in World 7, which is Bowser's final world. We've already beaten the first stage. So there's 3 stages left. And each stage, of course, you have to do all the purple coins. You have to hit the flags at the end. And then, of course, the Wonder portions of the stage, which get you the Wonder seeds. So, the usual extra stuff. But I've already done the special world stuff. So I feel like I've already done the most challenging stuff in the game, except for the secret final stage. Because apparently, once you 100% everything in the game, an ultra secret, very, very challenging true final stage apparently opens up. It did this in Super Mario Bros. Odyssey. It used to do this back in the day with the classic Mario games, so I'm not surprised that they did it here as well. So, we'll see how it goes, but I'm pretty sure with only 3 stages left and then the super secret final stage, it's not going to take me 2 hours to complete 4 stages. In a Mario game, have you ever seen anyone take 30 minutes per stage? You know what I mean? For any Mario game? I don't think so. So, I'm fairly certain that we're going to wrap up Mario tonight on the late stream. Now, if we wrap it up on the earlier side, then that's perfectly fine. We could stick around and maybe do a little bit of Q&A, a little bit of a chill session. If we do that, I'll probably let everyone know. You know, I'll post up around, hey guys, we beat the game, but if you want to come by and just chill for an hour or whatever. Okay? So, let's see. Let's see how it goes. But I'm excited. I'm excited because we're in the home stretch of 2 amazing Game of the Year contender games. They've been amazing experiences. Each one, you know, at this point, we're around, I think with Mario, we're just around the 20-hour mark. And with Spider-Man, we're on the 25-hour mark. So they're lengthy games. They're good stuff. I really enjoyed them. And I hope that you'll join me all day long for the fun, okay? Tomorrow, we're starting something new. Tonight, I'm going to download Like a Dragon Gaiden over on my Xbox Series X. And we're going to start that up tomorrow as a first playthrough stream premiere. So that'll be fun. And then tomorrow night, we're going to do more Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 on the late stream. This time, I'm likely not going to be using that SMG because I don't really like it. I don't know if we'll use a marksman rifle. Maybe I'll actually try a sniper rifle. Or, you know, maybe we'll go to an assault. I haven't used a machine gun at all. I haven't used an LMG or anything like that. Maybe we'll do that, right? We'll see, because it also depends on what the daily challenges are. So, we'll see what happens. But tomorrow night, more Modern Warfare fun. And then Wednesday is a little bit up in the air, and here's why. I am going to play Like a Dragon Gaiden on the first stream again on Wednesday, but I don't know what the late stream is. It really depends on what happens today with Spider-Man. If I happen to beat Spider-Man today, then we're done, and then Wednesday night will be more Modern Warfare 3. But if we don't beat Spider-Man today, what I will do is I will have Wednesday night be the final stream and conclusion of Spider-Man, so that way, this week, we will have wrapped up all lingering playthroughs, and we can move on to all new stuff. Okay? So let's see how it goes, because this Friday is the premiere of Super Mario Bros. RPG, well, Super Mario RPG Remake, which, yes, I'll be playing. So we're going to have Super Mario RPG Remake, I should say, Like a Dragon Gaiden, as kind of ongoing narrative-based streams. We're going to have Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer. We may or may not, sooner rather than later, bring back Starfield just to finish it. And if I bring back Starfield, I'll tell you guys right now, I'm just going to do the main storyline and finish the game. That's all I care about. I don't care about other faction quests. I don't care about other companion quests. The game is such a disappointing afterthought, and most people aren't asking for it. But I put so much time into it, 40 hours, I don't want to just drop it. So I think we might just play it and finish it, even if it's only like 2-3 night streams or whatever, just to beat it and say we're done with it so we can move on. What a disappointment, right? So, you know, that will maybe be coming, but I know you guys are clamoring for the return of Street Fighter 6. Whether it's, you know, me doing multiplayer, bringing back Blanca, Lily, maybe Honda to the master rank, or me trying out other characters like maybe Zangief or Dalsim or others in lower ranks. I know you guys are craving Street Fighter 6. I haven't played it now in almost a month. Are you aware? So, I get it. This has been a very busy month. I knew this was going to happen. I knew that with all of these new releases coming out, we weren't going to have time for regular multiplayer stuff like this. But now things are finally starting to slow down. So I think that it would be a good time to bring back Street Fighter 6. Plus, by the way, I'm literally like 1 to 2 streams away from beating the story mode as well. Right? Which I want to beat. My God, I've been playing it since what? June, July? So obviously I want to beat it. Right? So let's see what happens, but all this stuff is possible. Of course, there's other stuff too. Phil, will you play RoboCop? Phil, will you play The Lords of the Fallen? Will you play Sea of Stars? And the answer to all that is yeah, it's all possibility. The thing is, right now, we're going to have a lot of possibilities. Like, once we finish these games this week, and we get into, say, the thick of things next week, we're going to have opportunities to decide what we want to do next, and we're going to have to talk about it. Maybe do some polling or whatever. I don't know what people want more than others. You know, there's a lot of opportunities and a lot of options for things to do right now. Really, there's only one other major game coming out this year, and that's the Avatar game in December. You know, after that, there's some Christmas-themed games I could play, like there was a Grinch game that came out and stuff like that. So we'll see. But I am excited for what we're going to do next, whatever it may be, after these narrative-based games or during these narrative-based games to mix it up, okay? So, all right. Schedule-wise, that's what we're looking at. I also just want to remind everyone that coming up this month, in less than 2 weeks, is the Adpocalypse 2.0 Marathon. It'll be over on DSP Reacts on Black Friday. That is Friday, November 24th, so 11 days away. During that marathon, I'm going to be reacting to advertisements that you nominate. And you can nominate in 2 different ways. If you're a standard viewer, type !Adpocalypse into the chat, or there's a community post you can find on the community tab of the channel. Either one of those. You go there, and you can post up advertisements for the show. If you're a channel member, you get priority to have your ads watched on the show, and you can find your thread over on the members tab of this channel on the main channel page, okay? So, we'll be watching ads all day long, and it's fun. We did this last year, and everyone was like, oh, this is never going to work. It's not going to be a good time. It ended up being one of the most unique things I've ever did, and people were actually, like, asking me to do it right away again. Could you do it for Christmas? Could you do it for, like, you know, January? And I was like, nah, we'll hold off. We'll see what happens. And now here we are a whole year later. It's time to bring it back, right? So, if you have not yet, please consider posting up some advertisements. Now, the ads must be retro ads from like the 80s, 90s, or 2000s. Sadly, anything from the 2010s on is going to be too recent, and likely what's going to end up happening is those are going to get claimed or blocked on YouTube. We got to go with old ads that no one really cares about anymore. Even though it should be protected under fair use, sadly, YouTube does not respect fair use. So, Nothing you can really do about that. I just got to stay in line with older stuff, okay? Now, in addition to that, that day we're going to do a Feasting with Phil episode where I'm going to order some food and we're going to have a live meal together. It's been many months since I did that. That'll be fun. In addition, we may or may not have some drinking going on, depending on levels of contributions. If people want to see me take a couple shots, we may do that. And in addition to all of that, there's going to be a tier maker. And I think I'm going to likely look for some tier makers this week that we could do during the show, unless you guys have recommendations for a tier maker you'd like to see during that show. But I was thinking something like maybe ranking Thanksgiving holiday foods that people eat here in the United States and ranking them against each other. Or I was thinking maybe something to do, I don't know, with Black Friday or like the Christmas holiday coming up. I would definitely like to do something. But I need your feedback. What kind of tier maker would you like to do for the Adpocalypse Marathon? All right, so let me know. And we love these marathons are so much fun. Why? Because it's an opportunity to sit back and relax. It's not about serious progress in any game or anything particularly that I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? But you get to just kind of have a good time together, enjoy the holidays, chill, talk. You know, that's what it's all about. So I certainly hope that you will join me for the Adpocalypse. Again, this is going to be on Friday, November 24th, all day long over on my sister channel, DSP Reacts. Should be a great time, and I hope to see you then. All right? Fair enough? All right. That's the schedule. And that's what I got to talk about. Now, before we get into the Game Awards stuff, what I would like to say is thank you so far for your support this week. We are halfway through my streaming week, and you guys have been great. We actually rallied and got a whole bunch of memberships back on the channel. Remember, we were down to only around 400, and now we really rallied up. Thank you for that. At one point, we had over 650, and I'm trying to build the channel back up to that level, all right? If you like the content, if you enjoy what I'm doing, please consider supporting the channel. I don't have any sponsorships or partnerships. I don't do any product placements. There's no referral codes. I don't play games for money. I don't shill products on my streams. I'm literally here to have a good time with you guys. That's what the whole point is, all right? But I can only succeed through crowdfunding, all right? So please consider contributing to the channel in some way if you watch and enjoy this content, okay? There's many ways you can do it. First of all, something that I should actually bring up, YouTube Premium. YouTube Premium, when you purchase this subscription service, allows you so many benefits on YouTube. Number one, you will never see an advertisement ever on YouTube. Tell me that's not an advantage, especially if you're someone who uses YouTube all the time for stuff. You watch it a lot. It's a godsend, and it's super helpful, all right? And if you have YouTube Premium and you watch someone's channel who has ads enabled, they get paid for the ads, as if you watched them even though you didn't. So if you like someone, you watch their content all the time, but being a YouTube Premium member actually helps them out. But you get so many other benefits from YouTube Premium. For example, you can minimize YouTube as an app and just have it play in the background, and I do this to listen to music and playlists all the time. You can pre-download shows that you watch. Like, for example, this podcast. You could pre-download 4 episodes of this podcast, and then when you're driving and you don't have a good internet connection, or you're on a break at work, you could just hit play and listen to it without an internet connection. How cool is that? And that's just a few of the benefits of YouTube Premium, okay? So, definitely consider becoming a YouTube Premium member today. It helps me out, and it would help you out as well. But outside of that, there are so many ways that you can help this channel. Super chats and super stickers during live streams. A super thanks on a video that's eligible for it. If you do any of those things, I'll give you a personal shout out. Okay? Even highlighting your comment. If you do super thanks on a video, I always highlight those comments. Okay? A membership or a gifted membership. 'Tis the season, as they say. If you're someone who's here on my streams and you're watching my stuff and you're enjoying it and you want to support the community, you could give some memberships to the community, and I'm sure people would be very appreciative of that right now, to have all the benefits, including the ability to talk as much as you want in a chat without any limitations, no slow mode, a cool chat crown badge to show how long you've been a supporter, access to all of my emotes, priority for special events like the Adpocalypse right now. You get that priority to nominate ads and stuff like that. All that stuff, right? So please consider contributing in some way, but hey, you want to help out the community, gifting memberships would be a great way. And then, of course, there's tipping. I try to hit the Tier 1 tips goal every single stream. Because that would help out a ton. That's liquidity for me. I mean, no exaggeration. I have to buy Super Mario RPG this week, and that's the funds that buy that. That's the money that pays for my groceries every week, you know? So, tips are very important. Please consider contributing in one of these ways if you like this content. This is how I make a living. It's not about ad revenue on YouTube anymore. Quite frankly, ad revenue is small. You know, right now I'm doing a demo of YouTube's automatic ads program on my streams, and I've got some mixed feedback on it. Some people seem to think that it's all right, and others seem to think that it's annoying. Right now, actually, I'm wondering when it's going to roll one, because I did actually set it up this morning, and I don't know if it actually ran any ads or not yet. And I've been basically trying to get feedback from you guys about what you think about these ads. And a lot of people are saying that the ads are actually pertinent to them. Like, some people have been saying, yeah, the ads are regional. They're actually for things in my area, which is good. Some people seem to say that the ads are not that bad at all. It's not bothering them. And others are saying it is. So I want to continue to experiment with this. I want to see what happens with different levels of ads and things. So please continue to give me your feedback. But I don't know if it ran any ads this morning, right? Did anyone on stream see an ad yet? Because the stream's been running for over 40 minutes, so you would think it would have run an ad, and I don't think it did. So I don't know if it's working or not. I'm actually refreshing my stream right now just to make sure all the settings are correct. According to this, it's on. According to this, it says it's on and working. So I don't know. If it ain't working, it ain't working, I guess, right? So there you go. Anyway, you know what it is it's dependent on region. It's dependent on a lot of various factors, okay? So not everyone's always going to see an ad. An ad, if it plays, it might not always work. You know, there's all these factors that come into play. Anyway, if you see ads on the stream, that's why. I'm testing it out. I'm curious to see if I demo this for a couple of weeks, would it significantly help me at all? You know, I don't know. So I guess we'll see. But thank you guys for any kind of support today, please. If you can support the stream, please do. That is how I make my living. All right, now, we're going to start talking about the Game Awards. But first, I have to blow my nose, which sucks. This cold sucks, but I have to before we do it. Give me a second to do that. I'll be right back, and then we'll get to that topic. Okay, so getting back on topic now. This morning, the Game of the Year Award nominees were announced, or I should say the Game Awards nominees were announced. This covered various topics. Of course, you always have your Game of the Year contenders, Game of the Year nominees. But in addition, you have all of your minor categories as well. And before we actually get to the games that are nominated, I would just like to read through the various categories so you guys know what they actually do at the Game Awards. So, here you go. I'm actually going to start from the bottom, and I'm going to read all the way up. These are all the categories, all right, that they do at the Game Awards, all right? So, from the bottom up, ready? Best Esports Event, Best Esports Coach, Best Esports Team, Best Esports Athlete, Best Esports Game. They really love their esports now at the Game Awards, apparently. It's interesting. Wasn't aware that it was that big of a deal. Okay. Content Creator of the Year. Always a hilarious topic because usually people don't know 90% of the people that are nominated for that category. You never even heard of them. Most Anticipated Game. Best adaptation, best multiplayer, best sports and racing, best sim and strategy game, best family, best fighting, best RPG, best action adventure, best action, best VR or AR, best mobile game, best debut indie game, but also best independent game. So a debut independent game and also a separate topic for all independent games. Okay. Best community support, best ongoing game, games for impact, innovation in accessibility, best performance by a game actor, basically, best audio design, best score and music, best art direction, best narrative, best game direction, and game of the year. Okay? Pretty crazy. It's a lot of topics. It's a lot of categories. They take it seriously, I guess. Or do they? Because here's the deal, all right? The Game Awards, I hate to say it, all right, have two fatal flaws every single year. And as much as I feel that Jeff Keighley is very well-intentioned with his show, and he's really trying to make games professional. I mean, look what he's done in the last several years with Summer Game Fest. As E3 was on the decline, he basically replaced E3 with his own show that's just as good. I get that he's trying to make this professional, all right? I totally get it. But the Game Awards have two critical flaws every year that I call out, but they're all just ignored as if it doesn't exist, all right? Flaw number one, all right? The Game Awards have a cutoff for what games can be nominated. So I'll give you an example, all right? And I'm not saying that this seriously would be a contender or anything, but the Game Awards only consider games up to a certain point in November. So, for example, this week, Like a Dragon Gaiden came out. Guess what game is not eligible? Right? This week, Super Mario RPG Remake comes out. It's not eligible. Guess what other game comes out next month? The Avatar game from Ubisoft. It's not eligible. Why? Because the Game Awards are run the first week of December. But that's not the end of the year. How can you have a year show, the Game of the Year awards, that, you know, the Game Awards, it's supposed to be contenders for the year, but it doesn't include anything from the last month and a half to 2 months of the year. How does that make sense? It doesn't. And you might say, well, why do they do it that way? Because of advertisers. I'm not shitting you. They found during market research the best way to make money with this show is to run it the first week of December. If they ran it in January, most advertisers have already expended all of their advertising budgets for Christmas, and they don't have a lot of money to throw towards ads in January. So if they held the show in January and it was more legit for the awards, they would not make as much money. So because of money, they hold it in fucking December. Pretty stupidly greedy, isn't it? Yes. But I guess it's just business, right? Now you may say, well, that's okay, because any games that come out in like November, December will be eligible for next year. Yeah, except it's literally never happened. Go back during the history of the Game Awards and look at games that have come out around November, December that got slighted that year, and you tell me if they were ever nominated for the next year. Not once. They get forgotten. Just like games that come out at the very beginning of the year always get forgotten and never get nominated, even if they're great games, all right? I'll give you guys an example. Hogwarts Legacy was the absolute hottest game of the year this year early on in February. Everyone was playing it. Everyone was talking about it. It was a hotbed of discussion, right? Oh my God, the controversy around the game and everything. Now, admittedly, I don't think that it was the best game of the year. I actually feel that the game had flaws or whatever. But, dude, it sold tons. It was one of the best-selling games of the year. It was the biggest thing. Guess what? Literally not being discussed at Game of the Year awards at all. As if it never existed. Like the game never came out this year. Why? Because it came out in February. These awards really only start considering games around late March, April, and they only carry through till around October. And that's it. Any game that comes out November, December, January, February, it's like it doesn't exist. As if it never released. I think that's incredibly stupid. I don't think that's fair. I think it's unprofessional. But if you really want to talk unprofessional, in truth, the reason that I really find the core flaw of this show is that I just named all the categories, right? And you might say, oh, well, that's interesting. So how do they determine the winners? Are you ready? 120 gaming journalists and insiders vote. Okay? Gaming journalists and insiders. Not gamers, but gaming journalists and insiders are the people who vote on these categories. So you might say for yourself, well, wait a minute. If you truly look at the innovative games and the best games of 2023, why would a game, would a game like Street Fighter 6 ever be nominated for Game of the Year? Okay? Well, let's take a look. Let's actually start that discussion right now. Okay? Game of the Year nominees for 2023 are as follows. You ready for this? Here we go. These are the Game of the Year contenders for this year. Alan Wake 2. Okay, I agree on that one. I just finished it, and it was one of the most innovative games I've played in many years. It will resonate with me forever because of the innovative things it did. I love the game. One of the best narratives ever. Yes, it's definitely Game of the Year contender for me. Okay? Baldur's Gate 3. Certainly I didn't play it, but I think it's undeniable. This game, considered one of the best PC RPGs of all time. Then it carried over to PS5. People seem to love it there too. Doesn't fit my format of content, but everyone who's played it seems to agree it's outstanding. Even though I've heard many people fairly criticize it and say, actually, the final third of the game is not very good at all. That the first 2/3 are outstanding, and the final third, they kind of ran out of thoughts and ran out of ideas, and the game completely fizzles out at the end. So how it's perfect and Game of the Year, I don't know, but that's what people are saying who actually even really liked the game. Okay? Spider-Man 2. Well, after having played 25 hours of it and likely getting to the end of it today, I can say it's probably arguably the best superhero game ever made. It's got the best open world city and open world traversal I've ever seen in a video game. It's got a story that keeps you guessing with twists and turns. It's certainly not overly cliche. It takes a few risks with the plot that aren't in line with the comics or movies. Overall, very, very pleasing game. Is it the perfect game? No. I mean, it does have some annoying parts. It still has stupid MJ missions where for some reason Mary Jane is a fucking superhero even though she's really not. They have to have these progressive segments of the game that make absolutely no sense and are out of place. But for the most part, the game is very pleasing and very satisfying if you're a fan of Spider-Man, superheroes, or anything like that. And a lot of people have even been saying Spider-Man 2 may even take up the mantle as best superhero game ever from Batman Arkham City. So there you go. Resident Evil 4 Remake. Now, out of all the games that are listed here, honestly, I think this is actually the one I disagree with the most. Resident Evil 4 Remake is a fine game, okay? But it's a remake. It's not necessarily a brand new game. Most of the game ideas and assets are taken from another game, and they've been modernized and updated a bit. But to me, you know, having played the original just a couple years ago and playing this one, I don't really feel like it did enough to be a Game of the Year contender, quite frankly. I mean, I loved it. I thought the game, the graphics were good. The story obviously is good. But I don't know if I believe that this should be a Game of the Year contender at all. I think out of all the ones in the Game of the Year list, I don't think this one should be in there. This is the one I kind of disagree with. You could disagree with me, and that's okay. But this is the one that I kind of have a little bit of an issue with, and I think that it's a little off base. Okay? Super Mario Brothers Wonder. I wholeheartedly agree. Apparently, some people are up in arms about this. I agree with this. Super Mario Brothers Wonder is the best 2D Mario game in like 25 years. It's better than New Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers Wii, Super Mario Brothers Wii U. It's better than all of them. All right? It's got innovation. Almost every stage has something new added. Multiple new power-ups. These wonder abilities that change the stages completely. It really is the most imaginative Mario game that I have seen in ages. Okay? Really. I think it's great. And what's funny is a lot of people are so bigoted against Nintendo and Mario. Oh, that's a kiddie game. How could you consider a 2D platformer, right, to be such a great Game of the Year contender? Because I'm not an idiot who has a closed mind and thinks that things that are older are worse, you know? Yes, it is a 2D platformer. It definitely follows all of the constraints of a 2D platformer game, which started in the 1980s, right? But that doesn't mean it's bad. Just because you personally don't like it doesn't mean it's not good. It's pretty much best in class for 2D platformers. So why shouldn't it be a Game of the Year contender? It's got high production quality. It's got length. It's got value. It's got innovation. It's got everything in it you want from a great game. Oh, it's Nintendo. It's for little kids. No, you're just stupid. What a dumb, ignorant, closed-minded thing to say. Just because you personally don't like it doesn't mean it's not good, right? And then lastly, and this one I absolutely, positively knew would be nominated, The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. I knew this one would be there. Do you want to know why? Gaming journalists. This game was like so heavily pushed by gaming journalists this year that I knew it was going to be a Game of the Year contender. But it's hilarious because a lot of people strongly criticized the game and said it's exactly the same map as Breath of the Wild. Yes, there's an underworld and an aerial world, but it's the same game, and all they really did is they added a couple new dungeons, and they added in this building mechanic. But it's still Breath of the Wild. It really feels like an expansion to Breath of the Wild, right? Now, I think that is kind of a short-sighted way to look at the game. It definitely has a lot of innovation and things in it that's different from Breath of the Wild. But, you know, I can see both sides of the fence. Let's put it that way. I can totally see people saying one way or the other way. I get it. Personally, I liked the game, but I wasn't in love with it like a lot of other people. I certainly felt like there was a lot of padding and a lot of unnecessary content because they wanted the game to feel like a 100-hour game, when in reality it was around a 40-hour game with 60 hours of shit you just never need to do. So, you know, it is what it is. I still enjoyed the game a lot and enjoyed my playthrough of it, okay? So when I'm looking at all of these games, right? So let's do it again. Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Mario Wonder, and Tears of the Kingdom, right? Well, wait a minute. I don't get it. Why is Street Fighter 6 not in there? Street Fighter 6 is the best fighting game in a decade. It's got everything that everyone wanted. It's got better graphics, better gameplay, insanely good online connections, way better, best in class than any other fighting game before it. It's got a wide cast of characters. It's got all awesome modes, right? You've got your online community mode with the lobbies where you can make your own avatar and fight avatars against each other. You got a story mode that's unprecedented in a fighting game, open world. You can play for 20 to 30 hours. It's got everything any fighting game player would ever want, right? Why would Street Fighter 6 not be nominated for Game of the Year? Here's why. Because the flaw of these awards is that they're nominated by gaming journalists. Ladies and gentlemen, gaming journalists are not representative of the average gamer. They're just not. It's their job to cover certain games and write articles about them. Okay? Just on the merits of that, they can't play as many games as an average gamer because every game they play, they have to be analyzing and writing articles and shit about. You understand? So since that's their job, they don't have time to play as many games as most other people. They actually have to play more in depth on the games they play, but they don't have the ability to play a wide variety of games, okay? Now, here's the funny part about this. Do you know that most gaming journalists don't play fighting games? Yep. It's a fact. If you do the math, it's something like, the statistic is something like 80% of gaming journalists never play a fighting game. That it's a very small niche of gaming journalists who cover the fighting game genre. So, if only 20% of the people who are eligible to nominate games for Game of the Year have played a fighting game this year, how would a fighting game ever be eligible for Game of the Year? Right? However, what are the games that most gaming journalists did play? Well, you know, the long narrative-based ones. At least I dabbled in it. Even if I didn't play it to the end, I dabbled in it, right? Because it's the game that everyone else in the office was playing. This is, you know what I mean? So, that's the problem here, is that just like you'll never get a racing game in there. You seriously will never get a first-person shooter in there. You'll never will. You will only get RPGs, action games, you know, every once in a while a Nintendo game, first-party Nintendo game, that kind of stuff. That's all you will ever get as Game of the Year, because those are the more mainstream categories. And you'll get those every year nominated for Game of the Year, and everything else will get swept under the rug. Even if it's best in class, absolutely the best you've ever seen. Street Fighter 6 is literally the best fighting game in 10 years. But no one cares because, oh, it's a fighting game. So no way it could be game of the year. It's bullshit. And again, it's just sad. It's not a fair assessment. I'll give you another assessment, okay? I know for a fact that some of the people who get to vote for Game of the Year haven't played most of these games. Here's an example, all right? There's people who are allowed to vote for all these categories who are accessibility consultants, okay? People who actually consult on games for things like blindness accessibility, audio accessibility, things like that, okay? For most of these games, like some of these aren't even accessible. To my knowledge, like Mario Wonder isn't accessible, right? It's not at all. It doesn't have any accessibility options. So if you're blind or you're hearing impaired, you can't play Mario Wonder, right? And some of these games I know for a fact did not have full accessibility options. So people who were, for example, sight impaired could not fully play Spider-Man 2. Barely could they even play it. Even though they tried to put in options, I saw some of the reviews. Like I saw Super Blind Man's review. He said you can't play it without sight assistance. There's no way you could play it. So if that's the case, and these games are not accessible to those people, why are those people voting for Game of the Year? Right? That's the problem with the Game Awards. It's completely flawed. Who should be voting for the Game Awards? People who actually played all the fucking games. Right? So you name me one gaming journalist who actually played all 6 of these games. Name me one gaming journalist who also played the other great games this year that aren't on the list, right? And they should be the ones who nominate. And the truth is, probably 0. Because again, that's not what gaming journalism is about. With gaming journalism, you have people who work in your office or your publication who are specialists in certain things. You're the RPG person. You're the fighting game person. You're this person. You're that person. You're all specialists. If you're a specialist, you should only be an expert on the game genre you're an expert on, and that's what you should write about and review. Why the fuck are you nominating games for Game of the Year when you didn't play 90% of them? Right? It literally doesn't make sense. Okay? The whole thing is flawed. But you want to know what it is? It is an insiders, inclusive, good old boys and girls club. Meaning, if you're in the industry, oh, you know, haha, you know my buddy who I see at all the fucking press events and all the things, and we get all the shit sent to us for free by every, you know, oh, I got the new Steam Deck. Oh, I got the new fucking console for free. I got all the review copies of every game for free. Everything I get for free, right? It's that group. It's the inclusive group of golden people who are selected to be representative of the gaming community are the people who are nominating and voting on these awards. So how can you then say that this is a true Game Award show, representative of the true quality of games? You can't. Because it's just 120 people who are just a good old boys and girls club who are all nudging each other about what we liked this year, blah, 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 blah. And you'll never get games like Street Fighter 6 nominated at all. You'll never be nominated for Game of the Year because it's a completely skewed system. And you'll have years where games are nominated that make no sense and years where games win that make no sense. And there's nothing you could do about it unless the system's changed. Unless people campaign to Jeff Keighley and say, your system's insanely flawed. We don't want to know out of your friend group what your favorite game was. We actually want to know what the best game of the fucking year was. But that's all it is. It's Jeff Keighley's friend group award show. That's literally what it is. And what's hilarious about it is, all right, every year they do have a fan viewer voting poll. And literally every year they do this, and the winner is completely different from what is selected by the Game Awards as Game of the Year. It never fails. The big contentious year was the year with The Last of Us 2, where the common gamer did not love The Last of Us 2. The common gamer thought it was all right, but didn't like a lot of the things that happened with the story of the game, didn't like the game direction, and did not like all of these political agendas shoved down your fucking throat when you played the game. The fucking guy who made the game, Neil Druckmann, made it political on purpose and even had campaigns on social media to vote for his game for Game of the Year to stick it to the haters who are anti-liberal. I'm not kidding you. Yes, this all happened that year. Okay? So what ended up happening was the gamers rallied and said, well, this is bullshit. Instead, let's actually nominate and vote for the game that's the true game of the year. You want to know what game won? Ghost of Tsushima. A game that, if you actually compare apples to apples of what was in both games, had a better story, actually had more innovative and better gameplay elements, and in a lot of ways had better graphics. But it got brushed under the rug because all Jeff Keighley's friends wanted The Last of Us 2 to win because of political agendas that year. And that's what I mean. That's the problem with the Game Awards. Okay? It's completely political. It's completely a friend club voting rather than it actually trying to credit the best games of the year, and that's sad. Now, excuse me. Now that we've gotten all of that out of the way, okay, I'm okay with all of these Game of the Year contenders. It sucks that I didn't get to play Baldur's Gate 3, and I can't really give you a 100% valid opinion on all these games because I haven't played Baldur's Gate. I'll tell you, I don't get why Resident Evil 4 is in there. I don't think it should be. And outside of Resident Evil 4, if you were to ask me, okay, if you could eliminate one of these games, which one would you eliminate right now? Tears of the Kingdom. Just get it the fuck out of there. You know? I would tell you, Mario Wonder, Spider-Man 2, and Alan Wake 2 have all been way better game experiences for me than Tears of the Kingdom was. Tears of the Kingdom was passably good, but it's just not resonating as something innovative or good enough. Tears of the Kingdom, in my opinion, is overrated by a lot of people, okay? But I get why it's there, you know? I can't attest to Baldur's Gate 3. There's nothing I can do about that. Honestly, if I could add a game, and this is just me off the top of my head. This is not me speaking from personal experience looking at all the games that came out this year yet. But I would say if I could outright add a game, I'd probably add Hogwarts Legacy. Even though I feel like the final third of Hogwarts Legacy was inferior and the game fizzled out and ran out of ideas and was kind of boring. I think that the first 1 to 2 thirds of the game, with its world building and its innovation of having an interactive open world Harry Potter game, it nailed it. This is the game that every Harry Potter fan has always wanted. An interactive Hogwarts, school, a town around it, and all the lore and everything around it. Why on earth would that game not be nominated for a Game of the Year contender? All right? Here's another one. Why the holy hell would Lies of P not be on there? Lies of P gave us exactly what we've wanted for the longest time. Bloodborne 2. That's literally what Lies of P is. And it runs super well no matter what format you play it. It's got multiple ways to play it because of the different builds and things. It's got innovation when it comes to certain combat elements and things like that. It's exactly what everyone has wanted for essentially almost a decade. Since Sony and FromSoft wouldn't give it to us, they gave it to us. It actually has an insanely good story too. So why would Lies of P not be in there, right? And that's what I mean. Like, when you're looking at some of these games, you're like, I don't understand how Resident Evil 4 is on there. Yeah, because game journalists all played it. That's the answer. How many game journalists played Lies of P? Again, not many. Why? Because it's not a mainstream FromSoft game. If Lies of P was made by From Software, it would be on this list. But because these are game journalists who nominate these games, and Lies of P was considered an indie studio that made it, and no one really knew if it was going to be good or not a lot of game journalists played it, therefore by default it can't be nominated. Do you see the problem with this system? That's the problem. But if it was FromSoft, all the game journalists would have played it and it would have been nominated for sure. You get it? So, I mean, I could keep going on and on about the flaws of this system and why it's not legit. It's bullshit, okay? Taking a look, I'm just curious, if you take a look at some of these games, let's take a look at Best RPG. So, nominees for Best RPG: Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 16, Lies of P. Lies of P. Lies of P is not a fucking RPG. And it's nominated for Best RPG. Do you see my problem with this system? The game journalists are so stupid, they nominated the game in the wrong fucking category. You'd have to be a moron to say that Lies of P is an RPG. You see? Sea of Stars and Starfield. Okay. How about, let's see here. How about, Best multiplayer game of the year. Baldur's Gate 3. Did I click on the right category? Baldur's Gate 3, Diablo 4, Party Animals, Street Fighter 6, and Super Mario Brothers Wonder. Oh. All right, let's go back to the categories. Holy fucking shit. Oh, here, this is always a great category. You ready? Best Content Creator of the Year. Ready? Iron Mouse, People Make Games, Quackity, this year nominated. Even though Quackity's been in the gaming community for how many years, this year nominated. Spreen and Cypher PK. That name rings a bell somewhat. I don't even know what kind of content they do. So I know about Quackity and Cypher PK, right? But again, you tell me, right? That's what I mean. Like, let's see here. I'm curious, like, what else? Oh, this is a good category. Best Performance. I actually enjoy this category because it takes a serious, dramatic take on games. Who's the best actor in a game this year? We've got Ben Starr for Final Fantasy 16. I'm assuming that was the main character of the game. Cameron Monaghan for Star Wars Jedi Survivor, the title character, the titular character. Idris Elba for Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty. I didn't play it. I can't really attest to that. Melanie Liburd for Alan Wake 2. She played Saga Anderson. Neil Newbin for Baldur's Gate 3. I didn't play it, so I have no idea what character he played. And Yuri Lowenthal, who played Peter Parker in Marvel's Spider-Man 2. That is your nominees for Best Performance. Honestly, you know, I didn't see Idris Elba, and I didn't see Neil Newbin. If I had to pick, if I had to pick between all these, honestly, I know a lot of people will disagree with me on this one. I'd probably pick Cameron Monaghan for Star Wars Jedi Survivor, even though the game was super flawed. I think the guy's great. He has a great job as that character. He's a good actor. And he did a good job in the role. I don't think that anything in Final Fantasy 16 is worth nominating at all. Sorry. I thought Saga's Anderson's character was fine in Alan Wake 2. Personally, I actually think that the actor who played Alan Wake did a better job than her. But he's not nominated. She is for some reason. And Yuri Lowenthal, he's good as Spider-Man. But, I don't know. I just think that Cameron did a better job. So, I think Cameron Monaghan should be the best performance of the year, in my opinion. But, I don't know who's going to win that. So, this is always a great one. Games for Impact. So you know what this means? Progressive games. That's exactly, they should just name it that. Like, progressive liberal games. That's what it should be called, because that's all. I mean, there's no reason to not call it that. That's what it is. And there's nothing wrong with calling it that, because there should be games like this. I've always said this. There is room in video games for everything. There is. There's enough people out there, there's enough of a fan base, enough of a player base to play any kind of game. If you want to admit that your games are liberal and they're trying to be progressive, just say that. There's nothing wrong with that. Just admit it. Why call it Games for Impact? Why are you trying to rename it something? There's nothing wrong with just being outright on what your game is, okay? However, here's the games. A Space for the Unbound. Chance of Sonar. Goodbye Volcano High. Tchia. Terra Nil. And Venba. Oh. I see. Games literally no one played. I get it now. Never heard of a single one of those. Well, okay, I heard of Goodbye Volcano High and we all made fun of it and no one played it. What else do we want to look at here? Man. I don't even know what to look at here. What do you guys think we should look at? What categories? Best indie game? Best indie game of the year? Cocoon, I didn't play. Dave the Diver, I didn't play. Dredge, I didn't play. Sea of Stars, I didn't play. And Viewfinder, I didn't play. So there you go. Can't say anything about that, right? Best score? Okay, best score in music. Cool. Alan Wake 2, I mean, dude, not only does it have an excellent score, it has all those real songs from Poets of the Fall, right, that are absolutely outstanding. It had 3 or 4 real songs in it that are super good. Baldur's Gate 3, I don't know because I didn't play it. Final Fantasy 16, like, I'll be honest, some of the music of Final Fantasy 16 was good, but none of it really resonated. Like I said, when I was playing other Final Fantasy games, I can usually remember parts of the soundtrack. I don't really remember anything of the Final Fantasy 16 soundtrack. You know, I remember when I was playing it, I remember the battle theme because it was so fucking repetitive, it droned through your head constantly. But the moment I beat the game, I don't remember any of it. It just completely cleared out my head, and I don't remember it at all. Hi-Fi Rush, that I will agree on. Hi-Fi Rush, that had a game that was in line with its music. Like, its music was part of the core elements of the gameplay. So it makes sense to say that that's one of the best games. And then Tears of the Kingdom, you know what? Out of all those, for me, it's between Alan Wake 2 and Hi-Fi Rush. And honestly, I would probably give it to Hi-Fi Rush. I would. Because that game, again, the music was part of the gameplay and was very important to the gameplay. So I would give it to Hi-Fi Rush, if that were my choice. Geez. Best narrative. Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty, Final Fantasy 16, and Marvel's Spider-Man 2. I swear people who nominated Final Fantasy 16 didn't fucking play another RPG ever. If you think that's like the best narrative, do you read? Do you play games? Or was this the only game you've played in like 17 years? I could tell you 400 stories better than Final Fantasy 16's. Like, I just don't get it. Why people think it's so good. But, again, I didn't play Baldur's Gate 3. I certainly didn't play Phantom Liberty. So I can't really chime in on that. I would say out of all those, Alan Wake 2. Out of those that I know, Alan Wake 2 definitely would be for me. Mobile game? I'm probably not going to know any of these. Best mobile game. Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis. Hello Kitty Island Adventures. Honkai Star Rail. Monster Hunter Now, and Terra Nil. I played none of those, so I don't know anything about them. There you go. Best ongoing? Apex Legends, Cyberpunk 2077, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, and Genshin Impact. I guess those make sense for ongoing games. Sure, those make sense. I'll agree with those nominees. Okay. Final Fantasy 14 will win again. It wins every year. I don't disagree with those nominees at all. Innovation and accessibility. Oh, this is cool. Diablo 4, Forza Motorsport, Hi-Fi Rush, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Mortal Kombat 1, and Street Fighter 6. So I know for a fact that Super Blind Man had a hand in both Forza Motorsport and Mortal Kombat 1. So he's got like a 33% chance to win in this category, which is really cool. I hope he wins. From what I'm to understand, Forza Motorsport is the first ever fully blind accessible driving game. And so many people who are blind or are sight impaired have been playing the game and absolutely enjoying it. So if anything, that's huge innovation, right? That's humongous innovation. So I think that should be what wins, for sure. And I think that he should get a prominent highlight and award for the work he did, in my opinion. But that's my opinion. I'm biased, of course, because the guy's been someone who I've had a very great relationship with for many years, and I wish him the best. He's doing the important work, as they say, right? Best action game. Armored Core 6, okay. Dead Island 2, that's one I skipped. Ghost Runner 2, I didn't even know that came out. Hi-Fi Rush, and Remnant 2. Well, Lies of P should be in there, but again, gaming journalists have no idea how to categorize games because they're fucking morons. And if Lies of P was in there, it would win. Out of these games here, I would go Armored Core 6. But there you go. Best action adventure game. Alan Wake 2, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and Tears of the Kingdom. Oh, shit. That's a tough one for me. They're all great games. I would say either Alan Wake 2 or Spider-Man 2 probably would be my take. You know, Jedi Survivor, I feel, would be so good, but it didn't run well. It ran so poorly and had so many graphical issues. I can't fucking think of it in a much of a positive light. It had a great story, it had great gameplay elements, and the game ran like dog shit. So how can you say it's a good game? They fucked it up with the graphics, and that really killed it for me. No, Lies of P got shafted because they categorized it as an RPG. Journalists don't fucking know games. They shouldn't be doing these awards. They miscategorized the game, and no one's going to vote for Lies of P for RPG because it's not a fucking RPG. So the game got fucked because journalists are fucking morons. It's that simple. Here's the last one we'll do. All right? Most anticipated upcoming game. And the nominees are Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Hades 2, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Star Wars Outlaws, and Tekken 8. Do I really have to say it? Should I even say it? Shall I? You ready? Because we all want to say it together. In 3, 2, 1. Grand Theft Auto 6, you fucking idiots. Grand Theft Auto 6 is more anticipated than any of these games times 20. So, they fucked up. I mean, how could you not have GTA 6 on the list when it was just officially announced by Rockstar? It's dunce level shit. They absolutely should have had it on this list. And it's not even on there. Alright? But, out of these games, I would say for sure Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. For sure that's the most anticipated game. And listen, as much as I like a Dragon and Infinite Wealth is going to be an outstanding game, nah, people want Final Fantasy VII more than that. So there you go. Alright. Alright, so that's the Game Awards. And, I mean, obviously we're going to talk more about these, as time progresses, you know. Keep in mind, the Game Awards show is December 7th. And I'm sure we'll be talking about it leading up. We'll be talking about it after the fact. But again, I must reiterate, these are not official Game Awards. These are Jeff Keighley's Friend Group Journalist Awards. They're not official because they're not even categorizing the games correctly. Certain games would never get nominated for Game of the Year just because his friend group don't fucking play them. And that's bullshit. It should be fair, and it's not. That's just not fair that certain games get completely written off because of the way that they have the people who pick who's fucking nominated for whatever. So, you know, it is what it is. But, yeah, not excited, honestly, for it, because I know how skewed it is. You know what I mean? Now, here's the thing. When I finish Spider-Man 2, when I finish Mario, when I start finishing these games up, I'll probably tell you. I don't know. I don't know if I want to tell you, because people are going to say, well, what is your Game of the Year pick? Well, I do my own Game of the Year awards, and I do them in early January, right? So I don't know if I want to jump the gun and tell you guys my stuff now. I mean, that would kind of spoil, would it not? So maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I should hold off. We'll see. Anyway, that's the Game of the Awards. I'm glad we talked about them today. All right? And, we'll see what happens with that. It's time for shout-outs, everyone. We start off today with Golden Nobles, who did a $2 super chat and says, Elden Ring 1, it came out in February. Yes, and Elden Ring is from FromSoft, and journalists are FromSoft fanboys. It's like I just said, if Lies of P was made by FromSoft, it could literally be exactly the same game that it is right now. And if it was FromSoft's Lies of P, it would be a Game of the Year nominee. And it would be in there correctly, not as RPG, but as an action-adventure game. It would be nominated properly. But, because it's not, They don't talk about it. It's that simple. Okay? Sorry, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but the point I'm making is these journalists are fanboys of certain things, and they'll always get over-prioritized, over-highlighted, over-voted. It's fucking bullshit. Zelda's another one. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, I'm sorry. It's just not innovative enough at all to be a Game of the Year contender. It's a fine game. It's a good first-party Nintendo game, but basically it's a spin-off of an existing Zelda game with a few tweaks. It's not some kind of insanely mind-blowing game. I don't even know how people could fucking say that about it. It's like you played a different game. I don't get it, you know? So, but journalists love it, so it'll always be up there. You know what I mean? Like, I knew it would be a Game of the Year contender. I knew it. The moment it fucking came out, the journalists were literally, you know, had the butt cheeks in their face, kissing Nintendo's butt up, right, left, and down. I knew it was going to be in there as a Game of the Year contender, no matter what. Okay. Jay Davis did a super chat. He says, Phil, I hope all is well. Thank you, Jay Davis. As well as it can be, I have to blow my nose again. So this cold persists. But outside of that, things are good. I'm looking forward to playing 2 amazing Game of the Year contender games today. I just debunked the whole thing. Now I'm just going to keep saying that they're Game of the Year contender games to get a rise out of people. All right, before we continue, I need to blow my nose. I'll be right back. Okay. All right, cool. Let us now jump into tips. We got a couple tips to shout out. First tip of the day is a $2.22 tip. So let's see. Hugh. This is from Hugh, who says, I used to be a hater of yours, but now I've become a fan. I love the new shirts you're wearing. They feel fresh, feel better. Signed, Hugh. Well, Hugh, thank you. You didn't have to tell me you were a former hater. I really don't care. I really don't. I don't give two shits who's who. If you like my stuff and you enjoy it, enjoy. Thanks for watching. If you support it, thanks for supporting. I don't care where you come from or what your past is, or, you know, I don't give a shit. That's how I am, man. Water under the bridge. Thank you for the tip. I received a $1.60 tip. So, to be fair, Lies of P is considered an RPG. Everyone labels it as an RPG. Any game with leveling up is an RPG. Call of Duty has leveling up. You're going to tell me Call of Duty is an RPG? Street Fighter has a leveling system. That's an RPG? Completely false. You're wrong. Sorry. Oopsie poopsie. Sorry to debunk you. I mean, I'm not trying to, like, slam you publicly, but yeah, I guess I just kind of did. All right. Thanks for the tip. All right. I received a $5 tip from Dan the Man. Thank you to Dan the Man for the $5 tip this morning. I appreciate it very much. Our first animation of the day. Here we go. Thank you so much. Let's get Dan up on the leaderboard. Oh, crap. Very good. Jared has done a super chat. What about RTS Game Awards this year? Oh, I didn't look. I don't know if it had those or not. I totally didn't look. There's like I said, there's a lot of categories. I don't think it had an RTS category, though. I don't know how they categorize those games. I'm sure they must be in contention. But again, I will say this, Jared. Keep in mind, this is Jeff Keighley's Journalist Friend Group Awards. So if his journalist friends didn't play RTS games this year, then they don't get credit. You understand what I'm saying? That's a problem. And that happens all the time. All his journalist friends played Zelda. We know that. Right? We totally know that. RTS is real-time strategy games. Okay. All right, so, guys, my nose itches. That's what I've got for today. We have a little bit of extra time. So if anyone would like to tag me in the chat, ask me some questions, do a little bit of Q&A to end the show, please do so. Tag at DSPGaming, and we'll go from there. And by the way, I'll answer this because some people have been asking. Everyone's mentioning the shirts, right? So basically, I have like 2 different kinds of clothing that I've been wearing in the fall. The first are like nice button-down shirts, right? And those are nice. They look nice. It's something you would wear out when you're going out or whatever. The other shirts I've been wearing are ones like this. This is actually a sweater from Uniqlo. I told you guys before I moved to Washington State, a store had opened up in my local mall in Connecticut. It was called Uniqlo. It's a Japanese designer clothing store. And at that point, I lived in Connecticut. It was very cold in Connecticut all the time, particularly during, the winter months. So I went there and I spent a lot of money. This is back in the day, when I had a lot of money. I was a YouTuber. I was making tons of money back then, not like today. And basically, I went there and I bought a whole wardrobe. I bought, I'm not kidding, 10 of these sweaters, right? And I bought like form-fitting shirts and all of this. Now, here's the thing. I didn't care how I looked. Back then, I wasn't on camera all the time, right? I didn't give a shit. So I just bought whatever I wanted to wear. I didn't care about what people would say about my looks or whatever, right? I didn't care. Now, here's the thing. Uniqlo, as you can see, is not thick. Look how thin that is. You see how thin this is? It's a very light sweater, but it is a specialized technology where it's like very small threads, and it form fits to your body, and it's incredibly comfortable and soft and warm. It's all about comfort and warmth. That's what Uniqlo's about. They even have shirts that are like very thin shirts. Excuse me. They have shirts that are very thin shirts, but they keep you warm. They call it like heat tech or therm tech or something like that. It's a unique technology. So, no exaggeration, right before I moved here to Washington State about 9 years ago, I bought like a wardrobe of these Uniqlo clothes, right? And then I moved out here and I changed everything. Like everything changed. Like I started, only wearing t-shirts and stuff because out here it's a lot warmer. It's more moderate weather out here than it was in Connecticut. In Connecticut, it was always super cold, snowy, icy winters all the time. And rather than having the heat blasting, I would wear clothes like this all the time to stay warm. So, basically, I had this wardrobe of clothes, all right? And some people are like, well, I don't understand because when he wears the button-down shirts, he looks good. But then when he wears shirts like this, it's not flattering or whatever because he actually has pecs, right? And you could see, look, I see his nipple through the shirt. Do you really think I care about this shit? Dude, I'm 41 years old. I'm not a fucking fashion model. I'm comfortable in my body. I don't care about this stuff at all. I care about comfort. I have these clothes that I've had for a decade, literally not worn, right? I want to wear the clothes that are comfy and warm because I bought them, right? Why do I give a shit about how I appear? I'm not trying to be a model for you. You understand? I'm just like you. I'm a gamer. I'm playing games. I'm trying to enjoy and be comfortable in my own skin and in my own home when I'm playing these games. The people who say shit like that about someone's physical appearance are fucking weirdos. If I'm okay with my own physical appearance, right? I'm totally fine with it. Why wouldn't other people? Why are people so weird and obsessing over it? Because they're the ones that are fucked in the head. They're just weirdos. They have weird, perverted, disgusting thoughts. And they should, they should be fucking chastised for that. Rather than say, oh yeah, let's make fun. What are you making fun of? I'm a normal dude with a normal build, right? No, I'm not skinny, but I'm also not fat. I got like kind of a mid build. I've actually lost a lot of weight In the last 2-3 years, I lost like 20 pounds. I used to be around 220, 230. I'm up 200 pounds now. And I fluctuate between like 195 to a little over 200. That's my average body weight now. What am I ashamed of? I'm not ashamed at all. I don't fucking care, right? So why do you? People are just fucking really weird. Again, these people who obsess about me over the internet have fucking problems in their head that they obsess over this shit. They really are the oddest, most disgusting fucking people out there, and they need mental help to think about that. Who cares about me in this shirt right now? But there's people actually commenting about it in the chat and shit. It's like, what are you, a fucking loser? Who the fuck cares? It's a sweater. It's comfy. What? I'm not fucking a runway model here for you. I don't do makeup on my fucking face. I don't care. You shouldn't either. You're a weirdo if you do. You really are weird. You need help. You should speak to someone about that. Maybe a friend, a relative, or maybe even a professional. If you care about how the streamer is wearing a shirt on a fucking stream, you need help. Okay. Okay, so we are now going to... Oh, there's more shout-outs. Never mind. Shout-out to Getezra. And Getezra says, did you ever go to the Danbury Mall in Connecticut? Very few times. I knew people from the Street Fighter community who would go there because they had an arcade at one time. And so they would go there to play games. But from my knowledge, like, it wasn't a good arcade. Like, it always had problems. The controls would be broken and shit. So it really wasn't worth the trip out there. That was further out. Like, I lived in Bridgeport. So near me, there was a local arcade. What's Your Game? At the local mall in Trumbull, they had FYE Arcade, and they always had stuff with working controls. And then if I went out to, like, Milford, there was Smiles Entertainment, and they had a really nice working arcade. So I had, like, 3 options to go to that were all closer than Danbury, and typically had a better situation with controls working better. So really, the Danbury players, we would try to convince them to leave their local mall and come to our places because our places were more reliable. But it was always a far drive, so really we didn't have that much opportunity to really cross over until the tournament scene started hitting, and then people would all travel to the tournaments to play each other. So there you go. So it's funny. Mark says, Mortal Kombat 1 won Best Multiplayer Game at Golden Joystick Awards, but it's the worst fighting game multiplayer I've played. What's wrong with the journalists? They're idiots. Those people who voted on the Golden Joysticks are even worse. It's some of the worst nominations I've ever seen in my life. It's just laughably bad, that show. Am I feeling better health-wise? I told you. My symptoms linger. My nose is still bothering me. I still have the post-nasal drip. But there's nothing I can do about it. You know, there's literally nothing I could do about it. So, I just got to suffer with it. No, if you want to know, you want to know why Mortal Kombat won Best Multiplayer Game at the Golden Joysticks? Because Ed Boon is friendly with game journalists. That's exactly why. Ed Boon is an American game developer. He's very friendly with the journalists who vote on the Golden Joysticks. So they like him, so they voted for the game. As opposed to Street Fighter 6 is made by Japanese game devs. They're not in and friendly with these people who vote on the Golden Joystick, so they didn't vote for that game. That's what I mean. It's there's no validity to this shit. It's all this community of a friend circle, nudging each other and voting on each other and everything. That's all it is. Oh, let's see here. First of all, Getezra, did I put you on the leaderboard? Oh, I did. Okay, never mind. Thank you, Getezra, for that super chat. Let's see here. So, someone tipped $1.50 and says, technically, Souls-like can be labeled as action or role-playing games, or both. It's called ARPGs. It's the same reason why Elden Ring won so many RPG awards. Final Fantasy 16 is also considered an ARPG. The RPG tag is just too wide. Now, I agree. What it is if you don't properly want to do any kind of work and do anything properly, like you're a journalist, it's your job to categorize a game, but you're too lazy to do it. So what do? You say everything's an RPG. It's that simple. That's exactly how you handle it. If I don't want to actually be professional and do work today, I just say every game I played is an RPG, right? Oh, I played a driving game and the car levels up. Oh, it's an RPG, right? It's fucking bullshit. No, if 99% of your game is action, it's an action game, you fucking idiot. Literally, no FromSoft games are RPGs. Armored Core is not an RPG. Elden Ring is not an RPG. They're action games. And they have leveling elements, but they're fucking action games. It doesn't matter what these idiots say. All right, guys, any last questions here? What's up, Jane? How you doing today? Any final thoughts or questions before we adjourn and we get ready for Spider-Man? By the way, I just received a $20 tip from 1 Minute Man. And he says, have you ever considered playing an indie horror game? Well, here's the thing. Now, I actually have a mini gaming PC. And I would have access to them. The thing is, up to now, I never really had access to them. Because they were mostly, those indie horror games are always on PC, right? They rarely get ported to like a console. And I was very limited to consoles for a long time. So, what really sucks is that during the Halloween marathon, I was supposed to play this Phasmophobia game or whatever, which a lot of people have said is a really good indie horror game that's been on PC. I guess it's still not on console. It was supposed to be on console at one point, and it never made it. So I was totally down for playing it, and then what happens? I get sick, and we have no marathon, and I didn't get to play it, right? But, yeah, I would be open to consider playing more horror games or indie horror games because I now have supposedly a computer that should be able to handle it. I'd be totally down for that. So, yeah. By all means, when we get to times when there's open times for suggestions for games and stuff, if you guys want to see me play something like that, let me know, and I'm totally open to it. Have I ever played Tokyo Extreme Racer? No, I couldn't say that I have. Thank you, Derek. He says, I'll be back tonight, but he's having fun with Spider-Man 2. Sounds good. No, I have no thoughts or predictions on GTA 6. We'll just see what happens when they announce it officially. Jade would like me to wear the $20.99 Spider-Man suit today. We'll see. Mark says, if we ever go to Tokyo, go to Go Curry in Akihabara, Tokyo. Yeah, I don't know if we'll ever get there. It would be great if we did. I'm sure my wife would love it, but I don't know, man. We'll see. King Be Cruel. I've already said we're playing Like a Dragon Gaiden tomorrow. It's the next game we're playing. We're starting tomorrow. I said that on this very show. Okay. Anything else? Lady Charisma says, you joke about the car thing, but Playground Games, the makers of Forza Horizon, coined the term CARPG. It's too funny. No, I'm going to play Like a Dragon Gaiden in Japanese. They didn't dub it. Like a Dragon Gaiden doesn't have the English dub, right? That's what people said. I'm going to play in Japanese. Have I seen Uwe Boll movies? I don't think I ever have. I literally don't think I have ever watched one. I don't think so. Have I considered playing Warhammer 40k on Game Pass? I think I was going to play it at one point, but then for some reason, it got delayed or something. So I didn't play it when it came out, and then I never really thought about it after that. So. The English dub is coming later in the update. Right, so there you go. I mean, I wouldn't even play it anyway. I'm not going to wait. We'll play it in Japanese for sure. Mr. Puffy Nipples, tipped $2.25. He says, I'm surprised you didn't cover a story about the internet. Supposedly Biden is having to talk with the FCC about having access, the government having access to the internet. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't see any story about this, nor it doesn't sound like you really understand the story either. Seriously, I don't think you understand anything about what you're talking about. That doesn't sound like... It sounds like it's a conspiracy story that's not really fleshed out. So that's why I didn't talk about it. I have no idea what you're speaking of. But thanks for the tip. Okay. William just did a super chat. He says, I found your opinion on the Game Awards pretty understandable. It's nice to sit on the stream and talk. Yeah. I like having variety in the kind of podcast that we do. That's why I really like this show, because one day, maybe I'll have a ton to talk about the games I'm playing. Right? And we'll talk about that for a while. Maybe one day we'll have big schedule updates and things coming up, and I want to talk about that. Maybe one day there'll be a pertinent topic in the news we want to cover. And then maybe one day, something nice at the Game Awards. And, every day we could do something different. Maybe one day we got nothing to talk about, and it's just an interactive stream where we chat and we do Q&A the whole time. That's what I like about the show. And the good news is, excuse me, we just got all that out of the way. Now we can play Spider-Man. Right? We have a nice show. We got all the topics covered, all the hot topics. If people re-ask me, oh, what do you think about the Game Awards? Watch the podcast. I go into it fully for like an hour, right? There you go. And now we can play Spider-Man and enjoy it. As opposed to a streamer who turns on the stream, starts to play a game, and gets bombarded with 700 questions, and now they got to talk to their audience for 2 hours, and they don't play the game. Or they don't focus on the game, so what the fuck kind of playthrough is that, right? It's tough. It's tough when you're someone like me, who I came from an offline environment, right? For the longest time, for the years of 2008 all the way to 2017, I was considered an offline creator. I made playthroughs for an on-demand audience. I mean, for a good chunk of that 4 years, I streamed and I pretended like the stream audience wasn't there, right? Then I had to convert to be an interactive streamer. But you have to understand that I still have hundreds to thousands of people who watch me for the on-demand content, and they're not there for the stream. So I have to be sure I'm making content that's fun and digestible for them as well. I can't just turn on a game and say, all right, now let's gab for 2 hours instead of pay attention to the game. What's the point of fucking booting it and playing it then, right? So I'm balancing. I balance that. It's tricky. It's tricky when you're in a unique situation like I am, right? So there you go. Zero G's says, you said Tears of the Kingdom shouldn't have been nominated because it wasn't innovative enough, but what do you think is innovative about Mario besides the power-ups? Like, literally Mario has insane amounts of innovation. Not only do you have tons of new power-ups like the elephant, the bubble flower, stuff like that, and I'm sure there's more than that, just, the drill and things like that. You got the wonder flower literally in every stage that changes the stage for secrets, and every stage is different. So every stage in the game is the standard version and the Wonder Flower version. Then on top of that, you got the medals. The medals, badges that you equip, and they all give you special abilities. Now those special abilities allow you to tackle the levels in different ways. So there's literally 3 different levels of innovation in Mario Wonder. 3. I've never played a platformer that had that much innovation. As I've played the game, I told you, there's some stages that I feel like I'm playing Rayman Origins. There's some stages where I feel like I'm playing a classic Mario game. But sometimes it feels like Mario 3. Sometimes it feels like Mario World. Sometimes I feel like I'm playing something new and innovative I've never even seen before. That's the true sign of a game that takes chances, takes risks, does things new and different, and has true creativity. Tears of the Kingdom has some things that are new. You have the creation engine, where you're doing the puzzles with combining items and things like that, and the whole physics of it. That's really good. I will admit that's the cool thing. But that's the one thing. That's literally it. That's the game. If it didn't have that, it would literally be Breath of the Wild again. So if it didn't have that physics, creation, combining items, it would be boring as dirt. So thank God it had it. But to me, that doesn't make an outstanding Game of the Year contender. Having one little element that they added to tweak it from the last one, and especially because it's the same map, like, nah. I just didn't like it as much. I liked it, I just didn't like it as much. What are my thoughts on eggnog? I like eggnog. I like both non and alcoholic eggnog. I like both. So, okay. All right, guys, we got to adjourn. As much as you guys would like to chat it up all day, and I would too, we got to get to Spider-Man. All right? So thank you all. I hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks to those who supported. Thanks to those who were chilling. Thanks to those who talked. I had a great time with all of you. But now it's time to say goodbye. On tomorrow's show, it should be a fun one, because tomorrow we're going to talk about how far we got in both games today, and if I beat them, and what I thought about the endings, etc. So it should be a good one tomorrow, and I hope that you guys will join me tomorrow for the Level 1 podcast. But in the meantime, thanks for a great one. Have a good day. I hope to see you on tomorrow's episode, and thanks for everything. I'm excited. I'm excited for all the games. I'm excited for the holidays. I'm excited for everything coming up. I hope you guys are too, and I will see you soon.